Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dreamality. Welcome to my review of God of War. Is this game worth your money? Is it worth your time? Here's the short answer: yes, the game is phenomenal. Let's begin by breaking down the story.
There it is!
Hold! What are you doing? Now his guard is up. Only fire. Only fire when I tell you to fire.
The story follows Kratos and his son Atreus. After cremating Atreus' mother, the two set forth on an adventure to fulfill the mother's final wish, to have her ashes tossed from the highest peak in all the land. Their journey is long and filled with obstacles. Atreus has been raised isolated from the world. These woods, for the most part, are pretty peaceful. Kratos has been teaching Atreus all sorts of skills, but he doesn't believe Atreus is ready for the journey. However, an unexpected visitor challenges their safety, and they realize they have no choice but to leave. Right away, the tone is established. This is a very different God of War. There's more emotion this time. It isn't just about Kratos' anger and rage. The writing is fantastic. The cast of characters may not be very large, but they are all fully developed and handled very well. As much as I love the past God of War games, from a story perspective, Kratos has always been a one-dimensional character. As awesome as I thought he was because of his actions, he was still an uninteresting character. Now, not only is he struggling as a father, but he's also facing some inner demons. He's trying to better himself. If you're a fan of the past God of War games, you may be thinking, what on earth have they done to this character? I'm gonna tell you right now, everything about this game is an evolution of the series, the character Kratos included. Worry not, they have still kept the awesomeness of the character, but they've added some much needed layers to him, and it works. I wasn't expecting to like Atreus so much. The experience is far less lonely. Outside of the cutscenes, there's a ton of dialogue between Kratos and Atreus that build the characters and the world. You'll also have Kratos parenting him, giving him pointers while roaming of what to do or what not to do. Along your journey, Atreus will copy down all of the lore in his journal. Sometimes it'll be a direct translation from a scroll or something, and other times you'll add his own words, his own thoughts. It's a small but fun way to add to his character, especially when he's writing something about Kratos. I saw that, boy. This is the first time Atreus has left his home, and there's a lot to take in, so naturally, a child is filled with questions. I sure had a lot of questions, so it was nice to have Atreus around to ask them. Atreus is so different than Kratos. He's caring, down to earth, he wants to help people, but he's just a kid, he's innocent. Whereas Kratos is anything but innocent. It's an interesting contrast. You'll see both of these characters play off each other's strengths and weaknesses. You'll see them and their relationship evolve as the story progresses, but in a believable way because the writing is so good and natural. The father-son dynamic is an interesting one, but let's face it, this could have been a massive disaster. This concept is drastically different for a God of War game.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better.
Mythology continues to be a vital part of the series. This time the game is set in Norse mythology. It provides a very interesting take on it, and there is a ton adding to lore everywhere. I continue to be a fan of the subject as well as the game's premise, defying and challenging the gods. If you're a returning God of War fan, there is a lot to love here. If you're new to the series, do not worry, you'll be able to follow along with ease. The writing, voice acting, cinematography, visuals, and soundtrack come together beautifully to deliver some of the best storytelling I have ever seen in a video game. I enjoyed the conclusion very much, and I can't wait to see more. There are 4 difficulty settings to choose from, and you can swap them out anytime you want. I played the entire game on Give Me a Balanced Experience difficulty, and it took me about 35 hours to complete the main story. I really took my time with it and have done a majority of the side stuff, but if you were to rush through it as fast as you could complete the main story in about 20 hours. The camera is now much closer to Kratos, providing an over-the-shoulder look that makes combat feel much more intimate and, in a way, engaging. Kratos now wields an axe, and this new weapon is awesome. I have been playing for over 30 hours and I still haven't gotten tired of recalling my axe. Combat plays out like this. You have a light attack, a heavy attack. You can sidestep, evade, perform a dodge roll, block, parry. There are light and heavy rune attacks, and a Spartan Rage mode in which your attack damage is buffed and successful hits grant you health. I think the combat is very fun and satisfying. It's gruesome, you feel the impact of every swing, every hit. It also involves strategy. You need to keep an eye on positioning, learn how to time the parries, and some enemies require different approaches to take them down. By clicking square during combat, Atreus will fire an arrow at your target, causing some damage, but more importantly, distracting them for a bit, giving you a moment to regroup and plan your next attack. This is very useful when you find yourself swarmed by enemies. As you play the game, you'll find some other combat abilities for Atreus. Not gonna spoil what those are, but I really like the addition of them. Enemy difficulty is displayed by the color of their health bar. So an enemy with a green health bar is easier to take down than one with a yellow. You definitely notice the difference. Having the difference in difficulties helps combat a lack of variety in the enemy types. I'm fine with the number of basic enemies, but I'm a tad disappointed by the little number of sub-bosses. A lot of them are just reskins of each other. When I think about this game as a whole, the quality is so high, and the experience is much longer than any past God of War game. I feel the time and resources went elsewhere, and I'm okay with that. For the next God of War game, can we just add a couple more though, please? The boss battles are just as epic as you would hope. There aren't many, but goodness me, the way some of them play out. They give big blockbuster action movies a run for their money. By killing enemies and completing missions, you gain XP. XP is used to upgrade rune attacks and unlock skills in these skill trees. Hack silver is the in-game currency. You can find it from fallen enemies or in hidden chests. It can be used to buy and upgrade equipment at the shop. Your eyes do not deceive you. This time around, God of War has some RPG elements. You'll collect and gain access to equipment as you play, and the equipment adds to Kratos' overall stats. You can add modifications to improve stats, and some of those even add specific perks. It's great to have options. What skill tree abilities do you want to unlock using your XP? Or would you rather spend that XP upgrading rune attacks? What are you going to spend hack silver on? Are you going to upgrade old equipment or buy new equipment? What stats do you want to focus on improving? The great thing about options is the game will cater to your playstyle.
You froze it in place. Clever.
Puzzles make a return, and I enjoyed them, especially the ones close to the end of the game. Atreus will gain new abilities that will help you solve different types of puzzles. You can even use his size to access places you can't reach. For the first time in a God of War game, there are side missions. I did all of them because I thought they were fun, told interesting stories, and had great rewards. There's an open map you can explore. Something I absolutely love in video games is when the player is rewarded for exploring off the beaten path. God of War does this. There's a ton of loot and collectibles scattered everywhere. I really enjoy this setting, so I want to go everywhere and see everything. And knowing I was going to be rewarded for it, well, that's an excellent incentive. Thanks to an easy-to-follow compass, navigating through objectives is a breeze. Also, aside from loading into the game and dying, there are no loading screens, making for a very seamless experience. There is a fast traveling system. You'll find these portals scattered around the map. For a majority of the game, it's only a one-way ticket to a specific area, so I hardly ever used it. Here's a bit of a nitpick. Whenever you throw down a chain, Kratos is locked into this animation of climbing down the chain. Most of the time, all I wanted to do was throw down the chain for future use. These chains act as shortcuts, and as you gain new abilities, you're going to want to revisit some areas. Throwing them down for future use makes sense, but being forced into this animation is a bit of an annoyance. After completing the main story, you can still roam the world and work on any side stuff. I had so much fun playing the game. I will definitely replay it at some point and up the difficulty. This is easily one of the best looking PlayStation 4 games. The attention to detail is insane. Everything looks incredible. The environments, the lighting, the character models. Something that continues with this God of War is how amazing the team is at handling scale. So much of what sells the storytelling in this game is the animation and motion capture. A lot of the sadness that Kratos displays comes from his facial expressions and his eyes. I think they did a great job of having the player see the vulnerability, the humanity of the character. But other times it's the complete opposite. You see Kratos as this massive and intimidating figure.
What are we hunting?
You are hunting deer.
Which way?
In the direction of deer.
I haven't been sick in a long time. I can do this.
You are not ready.
The voice acting is top notch. Christopher Judge is the new voice actor for Kratos, and I gotta say, he does an amazing job. And a round of applause for Sonny Solage. His performance as Atreus really surprised me, and I really enjoyed hearing his range.
I found the deer. I proved myself. How am I not ready?
We are going home.
The game's soundtrack follows a new melody in comparison to the past God of War games. It offers a very different sound. In my opinion, the melody of the original games is one of the most iconic and recognizable melodies in video games, period. But still, this is a nice change, and overall the composer did a fantastic job, fantastic soundtrack. The music delivers on those heartwarming moments, and it also delivers the adrenaline in those action-packed battles. The sound design as a whole is incredible. The game's combat is fun, but what I think is so satisfying about it is it sounds like you're doing a ton of damage. The one nitpick I would have for the sound is when you pick up enemies and you run with them and you hit other enemies. Everything about the sound in this game is so impactful, except for this. There's almost no audio feedback. I thought it was weird to go from a very loud battle to quiet. God of War has been receiving a ton of praise, and rightfully so. It takes this series in a bold new direction. Despite the many changes, I still felt like I was playing a God of War game, one that honors the past while delivering something new. The team has done an incredible job in every category. I love the larger focus on story and characters. The new combat is fun and satisfying. The open maps and side missions are a great addition. I love that exploration is rewarded. There are a good amount of options to play the game the way you want. This is easily one of the best, if not the best, looking game on the PlayStation 4. The voice acting, the writing, the soundtrack, and the sound design are fantastic. I have no major complaints. God of War is a very memorable experience. This is probably the most difficult game I've had to review thus far, because through footage, it's very easy to spoil the experience for those of you who haven't played the game yet. There are many wow moments and locations in this game, and part of the magic is seeing that for yourself. My goal with this video isn't to rob anyone of that magic. So in closing, I will say God of War is a phenomenal game. I believe it's one of the best games of this generation. It is worth buying. I highly recommend this one. Games like this are few and far between. I'm happy to support such gems. Congratulations to the entire team. I truly admire the risk that they took, and well, it looks like it paid off. That is it. You have heard my thoughts. Now it's time to share yours. If you've played the game, let me know what you think of it. God of War newcomers, was it easy to jump into? Returning fans, are you happy with the changes? I hope this review was helpful, maybe a little bit enjoyable. If you have any questions, feel free to ask down below. And of course, thanks for watching. Just a couple more things here. If you missed my last review, I reviewed Far Cry 5. Feel free to check that out. Did you know I started a new video series, The Dreamality News Show? I was very happy to see that video being enjoyed. I think it's great for discussion as well. Episode 2 is going to be out very soon, either tomorrow or the next day, so stay tuned for that. That about does it. I will see you all soon, and thanks again.